Alright, so welcome to data structure and algorithms in Python. So today we want to see how vectors work in Python. So today we're going to talk about vectors. Alright, and this first piece of code is just a test case, a testing function. So I'm going to delete it. So today we're going to learn about vectors and how vectors work in Python. So we know vector is a physics quality, right? So a math and physics object which gonna give you the direction and also the magnitude of the force, right? So for example, you can have a vector like a vector in one two dimension gonna be like a 4-3 vector, or a vector in 3 dimension gonna be 4-5-5 vector, so etc etc. So in simple mathematics you can understand vector as a tuple of numbers, or a set of number. And today we're gonna create a multi-dimensional vector classes uh, using Python. So multi-dimensional vector class. Okay. So first of all, we have to create the class out first. So we're gonna name our class is a vector. So we're gonna go ahead and call the class name. So class vector. And okay, I wanna make this a uh, capital letter, capital V, and we want to this class to represent a vector. So we're gonna comment out represent a vector in a multi-dimensional space. So we're gonna use this class to represent a vector in a multi-dimensional space. So first of all, we wanna think about a couple of methods that we're gonna deploy in this class. So the first the first class is gonna be the init class. I mean method is the init method. So for a vector, the init method gonna receive a parameter d, which gonna be the number of the dimension of the vector. Also, I want to so we're gonna name out the method first, and we're gonna code each method later. So first of all, we want to create init method to tell the program how many dimensions we want our vectors to have. And then I want to have the len method, which just again return the dimension of the vectors. Okay, so next I want to have a get item method get item method get item method So get item method gonna returns the jth coordinate from the vector. So here instead of d, I'm gonna go with j. And for length, what you have to pass in just the vector itself. So there's no dimension there. All right. So and also we want to be able to change the numerical value of the attributes of the vector. So we can create another method called set item. All right. So we're gonna deal with these four fundamental methods of the class vector first, and let's do it. So first of all, we're gonna deal with class init. So class init is to define a vector. So we use this to create a dimensional vector. And now as of the beginning, we want to all the coordinates of our vector to be 0, because that is the starting point, right? After we have initialized the vector as an array of zeros, we can reassign, or we can we can do calculation with it. Or otherwise, if we don't specify anything, if we don't specify the coordinates initially as 0, Python will automatically set the value to be default as none, and with none we cannot do much operation. We cannot do operation with none. So we're gonna put the vector initially as a zero vector, 0. So create the dimensional vector of 0. So here we're gonna say self dot coordinate equal to 0 times d. So a list of 0 and we time with the dimension d. Okay? Alright. That's the first function. So for the length of the vector, we can see that the length of vector is just the number of 0, right? Or the number of the attributes that are in the vector. So all you have to do is just to return the length. So we're gonna return the length of the coordinates, right? So the length of the vector is just the number of the coordinates. So in general, there's a number of the list of 0. Now, for now, it's the number of 0 inside the list, right? So all we can say is number of the length of the list of 0. So in any way, we just return the length of the coordinates. So we say self dot coordinates, right? Alright. And this function is to return the dimension of the vector. So return the dimensions of the vector. Oh. So we have we have already created the vector, and now we can return the dimension of the vector. The next method we want our vector to be able to do is to get item, which means we can fetch out the value of a specific dimension. Which means if we on the vector 4, 5, 5 here, if we want to get out dimension number 2, it's gonna be 5, right? And if we get out the dimension number 0, it's gonna be 4, right? So all we have to do is that we can return self dot core, and we can return the corresponding index, right? So because we want to get the item j of the vector, so we're gonna return self dot core j's, right? So return the j coordinate of the vector, return the j coordinate of the vector. Alright. So next, we're gonna have the function of set item. Now, in the case you want to change the value of the vector, for example, with the vector 4, 5, 5 there, if I don't want to use the vector 4, 5, 5 anymore, but I need the vector 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna have to change it, right? So I have to change the coordinates j to another value. So then we have to pass in the value we want to change, and just simply we're gonna set the coordinate number j to be the value that we want to. So self dot core j. So we just set the coordinates, the value of the coordinate j's to be the value we want to pass in. So set the j coordinate of vector to a given value. Okay. So therefore you can change the value of a specific element in the vector. Alright. So now we know that in the vector there is a couple of basic operations, right? So we have a couple of basic operations when we talk about vector, which is the addition of two vectors, right? We can add two vectors together, or we can compare two vectors to see if these two vectors are equal, right? So we can define those operations out in Python. So first of all let's define the adding. So the addition of two vector addition. Let's do the addition, because addition is actually a fundamental vector operation, and also we're gonna do the vector comparison. So we're gonna do the addition and also the vector comparison. So I just copy this and we're gonna change things a little bit so it's easier. So first of all we want to define the add function. Add, and I want to add the vector to another vector, so I'm gonna say cell and order. So the cell refers to the original vector, and this order gonna refer to the order vector. So for the add function, it's gonna return the sum of two vector. Return the sum of two vector. Sum of two vector. All right. So the first thing you can see in the vector addition is that you can only add two vectors if they are equal length, right? So for example, if you add 4, 3 to 5, 6, so you're gonna add the first coordinate together and the second coordinate together, you can get like 9 and 9, right? 9 and 9. But in the other case, if the vector doesn't have the same dimension, then you cannot add it. For example, 4, 5, 6, 4, 3 plus 5, 6, 1, this is going to be equal to 0, right? 0. So the first thing we have to do is that we have to check if the dimension of these two vectors are actually equal. So we're going to write code for that. So if length of the vector, the first vector, which is self, and different from length of order, which means two vectors have different dimension, then we're gonna raise value arrow, yeah, and we're gonna say dimension must agree. Dimension must agree, right? So because in this case the dimensions are not the same, so we're gonna write the arrow of dimension must agree. All right. So and this gonna relies on the len method. So we're gonna say use len method, which we just create up here, right? Okay. Okay. So else if the vectors are equal in dimension, then we're gonna set result to be vector and length of self. So at this step, we're gonna create the vector of start with vector. So in this step, we want to create a zero vector, a new zero vectors to store our results. So we're going to store our addition in a zero vector initially, and then we're going to pass in the result of each addition into the corresponding coordinate of the result vector that we just create. So for j in range length self, because self is the vector we are talking about, and that's also equal to length of order. Range length of self, we're gonna say result. So we set the j element of the result to be equal to the sum. We set the j element of the result to be the sum of the cell number j, and order number j. Right? So that's the addition of a vector, and then here we're gonna return the whole vector result. Return result. These positions we are returning result is a vector, right? Because the vector we have defined result to a vector with the length cell initially in this code. All right. So init length get item set item and also add. All right. That's pretty good. Our vector has been able to do a lot, right? Now, okay, so after adding, we have another operation that we can use with two vectors is to compare whether two vectors are equal or not. So we can also not just add, but we can also compare two vectors, right? So let's write a function so we can compare two vectors. So to compare two vector, we have to create another method. So we're gonna do comparison. So we're gonna def, and we're gonna say this method be equal, denoted by eq. And for this comparison function is also receive two factors, two parameters, which is self, which is the original vector, and order, which is the second vector. So in this case, you just have to return the coordinates comparison. So okay, so for example, you want to compare two vector, like for example 2 2 2 1, and if that's equal to 2 1, so in this case you just compare 2 with 2 and 1 with 1, and if they are equal, so then you say equal. In the other case, if you compare 2 1 to 2 3, this not gonna be equal, because in this case 1 is different from 3 here, right? So so two vectors are equal if the corresponding pairs of each element of the vectors are equal. So for this function, you're gonna return true if the vector has the same coordinate as order, because we are comparing cell to order, right? So in this case, we just say self dot core is compare with order dot core, which means we just basically compare the coordinates of cell and order, and of course there's a underscore here because this is a method, right? Alright, because we have the method of the course here, we define it up here. So cell dot coordinate. Alright, so we just have to compare each coordinate with each other. Okay, so that's the comparison. So now we can also here's the function to check if the two vectors are equal. You can also check if this is the function to check if two vector is equal. You can also check if if two vectors are not equal as well. So we're gonna say any for not equal. It's still gonna receive a cell and order. So return true if the vector differs from another, differ from the order. So in this case, we can see it is the case of a 2 1 and 2 3, right? It's the case of 2 1 and 2 3. In this case, it's just 2 1 and 2 1. So I think the example is the same, right? And here, all you have to do is say, you just have to say the negative of the previous result, right? So we just say not here, right? Okay. And this function is gonna rely on equal, right? Because this is just the negative of equal, right? Because this is just the reverse of equal. And then finally, we want to represent the vector as a string, right? So we're gonna create a string method for the vector. So string method. We're gonna create the string method for the vector. So we're gonna def str to underscore str, and we're gonna just receive a self, because this string method gonna just receive one vector. So produce string representation of a vector. So produce the string representation of a vector. So we're gonna represent a vector as a string with this method, right? So all you have to do is return. Okay, this is what you have to do. First of all, you have to pass the vector to be a string. So we're gonna say str, and we're gonna pass the vector in. So self dot core and self dot course. Okay, so we're gonna pass in all the elements in the vector from the first element to the last element, right? The last element. Okay, so and then we're gonna add in the brackets, right? We're gonna add in the brackets to present this string. Alright. And we're gonna use list adapt list presentation. So we're gonna use it in a list representation way. So let's check out if we have any error. So it seems that we don't have any error in this code. Alright, so let's check our function now. So for example, we set vector v to be a vector. So vector, and initially we want the vector to have now we have to define the dimension of the vector. So dimension d, right? So we have to pass in d. So we want d to be 5. So let's say print v. Is there an error or this run well? Okay, so we only had 3 0 here. There was something wrong here. Alright, so let's see where did we go wrong, because in this part I expect to get 5 0, but here I only get 3 0 somehow. Right, let's see where we are going wrong. Okay. Okay, so Google Colab has some error here. So when I initiate the vector v, it should return 5 0, right? But here our vector only has 3 0 for some reason, but it still return the length to be 5. So what I do is that I'm gonna copy this everything here, and I'm gonna transmit to another coding platform so you can see things easily. So I'm gonna use online GBD. So that's just basically the same thing, but they're gonna run smoother. See, so we can see here. Oh, still 0. What is happening? Vector 5, and we're gonna run it. Has to be something error. So print V. Okay, so let's run it. Anything wrong? Okay, so I think I have made some error here. Let me try to fix it up. Okay, so for some reason our vector is wrong here. I want a dimension 5 vector. So I want a vector with 5 0 to be printed out. But somehow here we only have 3 0. Maybe 3 0, even though it still return length 5. Let's see what's wrong here. So init is right, get item is right, set item is right, add is nothing. Let's see what is wrong. So let's see this method string. Okay, I see what's wrong here. So here we have to change this to 0. Let's see this work. 0, so not -1, but I think we have to change this to length. Okay, that's correct. Okay, see, we can see. So instead of 1 and -1, we should change the code to 0 and length of self, because then it's gonna capture the length of the vector and produce the appropriate vectors for us. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think I have figured out the error why we cannot represent the vector 5 with the command vector 5 with 5 0. The problem is here, what we should do is that we're gonna use the method of join string C for C in cell dot coordinates. This gonna represent the vector a series of its coordinates, because rather than use this method which cannot return the vectors as a whole, because because look at this, the syntax here. So the list gonna go from 0 to length of self, but this gonna mean that this index gonna be but this might be, you know, like make it, you know, like missing some number or something, because maybe something wrong here. So I gonna just delete this, because this thing actually worked. Alright, so now I can also set, so you can create a vector and you can check the length. Also you can change the coordinate of the vector by list assignment. Just by this assignment, you can actually change the coordinate of the vector. For example, here if I want to change the first coordinate to be 1, and I want to change the last coordinate to be 45. So we say v minus 1 to be 45. So let's say, because this is a 1 2 3 4. So the last coordinate is coordinate number 4. So I want it to change it that way, so the vector gonna change, right? So with the first change, the vector gonna be, the first element gonna change to 1, and here now the second element the last element gonna be changed to 45. So here is this 1, and again we can print our v here. Let's see if it works. Okay, something wrong. Vector has no object coordinates at self.20. I know that we're gonna have something wrong here. Okay, so what you have to do is put the underscore in. You can see when you code, you can make a lot of mistakes like this that you don't realize at first, right? So you just have to go in and fix it, and I think that worked now. You can see here, you can change it to 45 already. Yeah, okay, so it's 45, sorry. And here it works. So v now change to 45, right? So the first print statement we should get like 0, 0, 0, and the second print statement we should get like okay, so this should return 5, and this should return you know 0, 1, 0, 0, and 45, all right, which is valid. So you can see, so we can change the coordinate of vector. So, and also we can access a single element in the vector. So for example, I can call out the number, access any element in the vector. For example, I want to access element number 3, which is I expect to return a 0, and let's see if it returns as a 0. You can see the element number 3 of the vector is 0 because it's right here. Alright. So now we can actually add two vectors together. We can add two vectors together. For example, I set vector u to be v plus v. So we add two vectors together, and here I expect this vector. Okay, so u is actually 2 times v. So I expect it to go like 0, 2, 0, 0, and 90, right? Because v is actually u is actually 2 of v, right? So I expect that to go that way. Alright. So I'm gonna print v, print u, because print u, and I'm gonna see what is the answer. So you can see 0, 2, 0, 0, and 90, exactly what we expect, right? Alright. Also, we can also print out the total of the elements in a vector. So first of all, we can say total equal to 0. So we want to return like 0 plus 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 90. So we can find the sum of all the elements in the vector. So we can say for element in v, I want to add everything in. So we say total plus equal, we add the value of the each position into total. So just say total plus equal element, and we can print out the total. So you can add all the sum of all the elements of the vector just by doing a list summations formula. You can see that's 46. So it's actually v, right? Let's say u. So this gonna return for us 92, right? 92. Okay. That's what we expect. So you can see what you can do is that you can loop through each element of the vector, and you can do an operation with each element. Okay. Now we can create another the vector. So let's say w is still the vector 5. We also create a vector of length 5, but now we're gonna name it w. And with this, what we can do is that we can check about each item of the vector. We can check about each item of the vector to see how each item works. So we can use this function here like add and set item, get item here. So let's test the function now. So we should have test the length, and let's check the get item. So we want to say like print w. Let's test the function now. Dot get item, and let's say get item, and we're passing number 2. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have some error here. Let's say what's wrong. So there must be some wrong here. But so first of all, let's us just try to do some normal operation with v first. So first of all, we can print out the length of v, right? W I mean. So we can print out the length of w first. So we expect to see another 5, which is good. And here we can print out vector w itself, not just length. So we just print out vector w itself, which is gonna be a set of 0, no arrow, exactly. So we can return the set of 0 here. Okay. Now I want to see each item of vector w. So what we want to do is that we're going to say vector. So we have to call the function now like this. So print vector dot get item, because the function, and we pass in w and 2 here, which gonna return for us 0. Okay, another time we have some 0 here, so it's get item. Okay, see, so we have 0 here because okay, can I say that w dot get item 2? Let's say if this works. Okay, it's actually good, right? Yeah. So you can call out the function that we have defined earlier to the vector. So we just have to define the vector and you call out the function that you want. Right? In this case, we call out the get item vector, the get item functions, right? Now we also can change the elements inside the vector. So let's reassign the vector a little bit. So I want the vector to change a little bit. So I want to change the first element of vector w to 1 to 46. Okay. So this time this has become 46, and I want to change the last element of vector to be 90. So vector number 4 is 90. Right? So this thing gonna be 46 and 90. And let's say we print out the vector again. So we're gonna print out the vector w again. Print w again. And here I'm gonna say we're gonna make a string w equal to, and we print out w here. So w equal to, okay, must be something wrong. Okay, this is w. Okay, so w now equal to 0, 46, 0, 0, and 90. So you can actually access and change the elements of a vector. Alright. Zero. And this actually this thing. We're putting w equal to here. Also, we can check if the two vectors are equal. We can check if the two vectors are equal. So here we have vector u to be 2, 0, 0, and 90. So we can check if two vectors are equal. So we can say print and vector, so vector, and we can say dot equal, and we say v and w. V and W. So let's check. These two vectors are equal. So another arrow here. Let's say, so it's actually EQ, right? Sorry. Alright, that's work. So we can check the equal function. So W and U of course are not equal because the parameters are different, but we can also check out if they can add these two vectors together. So let's actually create a vector where they are actually equal, right? So I'm gonna create another vector. So I'm gonna create vector number Z gonna be equal to. So first of all, we still have to create a zero vector, right? So Z is also equal to vector of the fifth dimension. And then I'm gonna change the coordinates of Z so that it's gonna be equal to W. So Z1. Now I want Z1 to be 46, and I want Z4 to be also 90, and then I'm gonna check if the vector of Z and W are equal. So now W and Z, and this should return true, right? This should return true. So you can see it's true because these two vectors are actually equal. And also, last but not least, you can also add two vectors together. So you can actually add vector W and Z together. So for W and Z, you can say add here. So what one you're gonna receive is just the double of vector Z. So it should be 0. And 46 is double is 92. 0 is still the same. And for the last part, it should be 180, right? And that was we received 0, 92, 0, 0, and 180. So we have check out equal, get item, and add. And we check out str, and we check out the str method. So we haven't checked out the str method yet, right? So get item, we have checked it out, get item. We haven't checked out set item, so we want to see how the set item function works and also the str function works. So let's check out the set item functions here. So for example, I want to change a vector number Z here. I want to change vector Z here. So I'm gonna say okay, so set item. So here's set item. So I want to check out set item and str if they work. Set item. So for example, I'm gonna create vector y here. Y here, which is just exactly same as vector Z. We just create, and then we want to use the set item here. So I'm gonna say vector dot set item. Now I want to change this to set item, and I want to change the vector, the coordinate J, which is number 1 to 20. Alright, so now it's 0, 20, and 90 here. Vector Y, and I also want to change the second time to 2 to be like 20 as well. So another 20 here. Alright, so that should work. And set item, let's see what set item taken. Set item taken J and 1. So set item J and 1. So what you have to do is you put the vector in. So here is not vector y, okay, y. So let's check. Okay, so it's none. Okay, something wrong here. I wanna have to fix this up. Okay, so this set item method has some problem. Okay, so here it's not that we can print this out, can just call this method out. For the set item, you can only call this method out. Okay, let's see. And now we can print y, right? Like that. Let's see, what do we have? And match bracket. Okay, and another bracket here. True, false. There you go. 0, 20, 20, 0, and 90, which is exactly what we do. So you can use the set item function, and what more we can test. Have we tried the get item? No, we haven't tried the get item function. So let's try the get item function. So we have test any, test EQ. We have test any, yeah. So let's test any. Land in it. We have test land. We have test get item and set item. Right, get item, set item here, get item, a test here. So we test any and str, anything that's enough. So let's check any and str. We have test 8. Let's check any and str. So we're gonna test any. So here so just basically we test if these two vectors are equal. So all you have to do is just copy this and we check. Okay, so we know that W and Z. Okay, so we know that here we know that W and Z are actually equal. So we know that W and Z are actually equal. So when we check any which is not equal, it's gonna produce as a wrong. Okay, so here NE. So what we have to do is NE. So this is gonna produce a false because W and Z are actually equal, right? And we're gonna comment the string method out. Yeah. Okay, I just put a thing in here, and I put another thing in here. Okay. Okay, just delete this thing. It's actually false, right? Because they are actually equal. So when you test it's not equal, it's gonna be wrong, right? Okay, and for the last test, we can test the string representation of the vector. So I'm gonna say print dot str of y, right? I just test our vector y, and this should return for us this thing, right? Alright, so I think that's the end of this lesson. So we have built the vector classes quite successfully, and we test out all the functions of the vector class, and we can make a few more annotation to better explain our code. And then I think that's almost the end of the lessons. So actually this is the vector creation. So we're gonna create we create here we actually test the init function. So this is testing the init function because this creates the actual vector, and then this actually testing the set item function because all you have to do is just change, right? Here we testing the set item function, so we test the set item function, alright, and we also test the NE and the STR. So here we testing the NE, the not equal, and here we testing the STR, test. Okay, alright. And here we actually test out the set item function, alright? Actually we test the set item function. So you can test it this way. You can test it by using the list indexing like list indexing, how to say it, list indexing formula or syntax, or you can use the method that provided. So this is the testing the equal function. So this is actually testing the equal function, and also testing the add function, right? Okay, so I think that's basically enough for this video today. So any question you want to ask, please comment down below. And this code gonna be public online. So any question, please comment in the section down below, and we're gonna explain it to you. So thank you very much. Have a good day.